Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be doing some bits and bobs. I need to work on the website, but first we're going to go meet a friend. So I'll see you guys a little bit after that. Little coffee meeting over, all good. And now we've got to pick up some heat pads and head home, open a bag, and possibly look at yesterday's vlog that I'm not 100% happy with right now, but we'll probably still put it out because I talk about some interesting things. So I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day. So I didn't have much to talk about, but all done in town now, heading home. I'll be working on the website today, mostly, because I want to get that done, because it's still not done. And I currently don't have a website. So that's what we're doing today. We've also got a new gear bag, and I need to swap out the drive in my mum's laptop for her and reinstall Windows. So that's today's plan. I'll see you guys at home.
Now this is the hour where we enjoy a more relaxed conversation with someone who blogs or vlogs about their passion.
And tonight, photographer Carlton Brunton takes centre stage with his
Hello.
time-lapse photography.
Hello,
He's
it's me
based in
again.
Salisbury, and Carlton travels all over the country and indeed the world.
And yeah, he came in for a chat and we got chained, didn't we?
Chat.
I picked up photography about a year ago, just over.
Oh look, it's me, guys.
I was always interested in time-lapse photography in general, so seeing how it was done. And the more I got into photography, the more I found it was like, I always want to push myself whenever I do anything. So I started with photography and I got to a point where I understood a camera well enough.
Oh, look at me
I was,
being really
able
nervous.
to take arguably good pictures, and I understood framing and things like that. So I was like, how can I incorporate this into the video stuff I do? So I started by doing little things like sped up video, which is how I think most people start when it comes to time-lapse photography. And then I shot more with, because I played around with motion blur, and it's basically the longer you drag your shutter, I won't get too technical, but the longer you drag your shutter, in my opinion, the better it will look. So that's kind of how I got started.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Probably, with science there, and that is a fairly serious bit of kit that you've brought in. That it looks like a
Where's
still
this camera?
that you brought in there.
So
With
that
the
one is a
wide-angle
DSLR, and it's one of my main bodies. It's designed for photography mainly, but I use it for videography as well. Nikon itself, they have played around with video features. Then they're not like completely committed to video, but DSLRs I would say is a good middle ground between
Why are you wearing
photography
this?
and videography, because I do a lot of both.
That was it.
I needed
It was
something
this
that
lens
did
and this
all
body.
rounder.
Wow,
So
amazing! I
I
know.
went with the DSLR because it allows me to interchange the lenses, it allows me to shoot with an intervalometer and shoot kind of what I need to shoot on the day.
It's a lot. It's like another language, Carlton. You're using all these big long words. I have no idea what they mean.
Ditto.
And Tim's Carlton over there in the
No,
corner.
you've lost me at camera.
Wait, what? How does this work?
About what you point the camera at. That's the really interesting
A
bit.
pretty
There's three
place.
elements I look for when it comes to what I'm looking to shoot or looking to actually make is basically there needs to be lots of movement, because otherwise it's just a still image. And the images themselves, they try and like have leading lines to a subject. So a leading line is basically a line that goes either across the scene
Best
or
case
into the scene
scenario.
to lead you to whatever I want you to look at.
People.
So I've done
Just
a lot
saying.
of work with the Salisbury Cathedral, as I'm from Salisbury, so it makes a lot of sense. And I try and find days where there's enough cloud cover, but there's also breaks in the cloud, so there's kind of depth in the sky, so you can tell that it's not just an image and it is sped up time.
So, what makes the perfect time-lapse photography conditions?
it's really depending on what look you want, but overall I would say you want something which has like a good amount of cloud, about 60-ish%, and they need to be kind of like large and fluffy in the respect to they have grey bottoms and white tops and there's blue sky, because it will give you a lot of contrast colour in the sky. And then try and put your scene in the
that sounds so legit.
More movement on the ground as well, because for time lapsing in general, you want to have as much movement in the scene as possible to keep it as interesting as possible. If you can, I try and shoot either at first light or at sunset, because that's when the colour will be the best, and it's really red in the winter or really orange in the summer, depending on if you get lucky or not. It's very, you can sort of predict it, but it can just become really good or really bad depending on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And what sort of period of time works best? I mean, you see all sorts of things. I think Dartford Tunnel did 24 hours in the day of either the tunnel or the Queen Elizabeth Bridge. So what sort of time do you set your time lapse up for?
So that really depends on what I'm going for and how much movement is in the scene. So there's a technique called a Holy Grail, which is basically, it's called a Holy Grail.
Still looking for that, I think.
It's Holy Grail because it used to be very hard to produce in the respect to, it's a transition between the sun going down and then transitioning into nighttime.
Right.
It was very difficult in the respect to how it was produced, because before technology was allowing you to be able to do it a lot easier, you had to manually change the exposure very carefully to make sure that there wasn't a big jump in light. But now you can use bits of software to sort of flatten out the change so it isn't as drastic every scene or every image. So that's what I would say is the most challenging area of time lapsing. I think that is most interesting to me, is something which on a technical basis I know is hard to create in that respect.
Yeah. And what's been your favourite? You say you've done Salisbury Cathedral a bit. Do you have a favourite?
That's why I called him. Breathe into the microphone.
Area or scene for your photography?
I wouldn't say I have a favourite. I have like places I love to shoot. Like I love London, I love Salisbury, I love cities with character and I can tell a story in my imagery. And it's mainly a lot of people necessarily won't understand that a lot of time-lapse photography, how I use it anyway, is I'm making a story or making a video about something, and I'll only put a time-lapse in if it fits that story.
Fascinating stuff. Carlton Brunton there, who's from Salisbury, talking about his time-lapse photography. We'll have a little bit more from him in about 5 minutes time, but more from our guest this hour, Carlton Brunton, on his time-lapse photography after Kylie Minogue spinning around. You're listening to The Social on BBC Watch.
Here we go again. Gotta listen to Kylie for a bit, boys.
That was her first single, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was around about that time.
Like 89, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I remember it well. We are in conversation on The Social this hour with Carlton Brunton. He's a time-lapse
Hello
photographer
again.
who posts his films on YouTube.
YouTube, just like Kylie, look, and he came in from Salisbury to tell us about his work and told us why he loves
Not
it so
just
much.
on
I
YouTube.
think it's just interesting for me because it's an outlet that I don't see a lot of people do. Before I got heavily into it, the only time lapses I saw was people doing it on their phone or speeding up video or built-in modes in GoPros mostly. That's fine. I don't like
do that.
how professional I know how well they can look. So
Don't-
when I see
don't do
the
Don't use a GoPro, boys.
GoPro like time lapse or
Don't
etc.
use a GoPro, boys.
For me, it's a bit like I know that can be a lot better, and I like to see that better. And if I see someone who did put the time and the effort in to produce it properly, then I think that they should be more successful in that respect. But I wouldn't discourage people that do want to get into time-lapse photography. I mean, I would say the best thing to do is to try it. Just get out there, do it, and then see if you enjoy it, and then look into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you came into time lapse as a sort of progression from stills photography. and video photography. Why share it online? What's your vlog?
Get that mad money, bruv!
So for me, it's very difficult because I am in a very specific bubble in the respect to I know photographers, I know videographers, I know those kind of people, and some of the time it will be difficult for me to know where I'm going wrong or where I can do better.
Right.
So I share them online to just share my work, to get feedback and be like, look, I think this is cool, I enjoy it, let me kind of share that enjoyment with whoever wants to, and to get feedback
just
on
make cool
what
shit,
I can
people.
do better, or suggestions from people who enjoy my work and are like, oh, I would love to see you do your spin on this place or that place, etc. kind of thing.
Show me the money, Carlton. How are businesses
Show me the money!
What's the benefit for a business?
So a lot of my client work, time-lapse related, is mostly promotional stuff. So I'll give you an example. I did some work for Salisbury Bid. They were installing an umbrella display above one of our high streets in Salisbury, and they wanted a time-lapse of the process of it going up. So that process took 9 to 10 hours. But of course on social media they wanted it for social media promotion, so they were looking for something like 20 seconds to 30. Something like that.
And have you seen a growth in more businesses, more companies wanting to use time-lapse?
Do it!
I think that if companies try it, they'll see that it is a good thing to use as a promotional tool, in the respect to it can be very engaging to your audience because it's very instantly very interesting, because you wouldn't sit there for ages watching something go up or something be built. But if it's 10 seconds or 5 seconds, you'll be like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
And it would be more interesting for whoever the audience is that you or your client wants.
And is there a magic number that we should all be looking at? That you don't want things to be 30 seconds or a minute, but you don't want it to be 2 seconds? Is there a magic number that a person or a company to capture an engaged audience should be looking at for a video?
I
Particularly.
would say if it's a piece of time-lapse content, for social media in general, in my experience,
Just
you
to be
should
clear,
have
these are
the
guidelines.
shorter the better, because the majority of people are swiping through on Instagram or Twitter or etc., and they're just going about the day and they only have a spare 5 minutes, and they just want to be entertained very quickly, and they want to be like, oh, that's cool, that's cool, move on. So if you want it in a number, I aim to do from 5 to 10 seconds a post.
So how long will that take, that 5 to 10 seconds? Is that a day's work for you?
So depending on what kind of time-lapse it is, I'll use an example of a Holy Grail. That Holy Grails take me about 3 hours to shoot. So from scouting the location, that's about an hour. So I know what I'm looking for when I go there, choosing the day, so I know is there going to be clouds, etc.
Yep.
Then making sure which way is it facing, so I have an app that shows me where the sun's going to set, so I know if I want the sun in the scene, where is it going to be in the scene. Then I'll shoot it, that'll take me about 2 hours. Then I'll go home and the post work will be about an hour.
Yeah.
So
That's quite quick, actually.
and then it's just posting it. So overall about 5 hours.
That's not too bad. And where do you see this going? The
all right,
time-lapse part of your business? What kind of future? You're just going to try and build up more and more clients?
For me personally, I'm just looking to do as much video-related projects as possible. If a client comes to me and says we would like time-lapse photography to be part of a project, then great. Some clients come to me and say we would like just a time-lapse. It really depends on what they're doing and whether it suits the story of the event they're trying to sell or tell or promote.
Carlton Brunton there, a photographer from Salisbury who specialises in time-lapse photography.
Yes, that's right, and there's going to be more from him in about 10 minutes' time here on The Social on BBC Wiltshire.
Perfect. The Social. Now I'm talking.
Yeah, you are.
You're listening to the Monday evening edition of The Social with me, Sue Kinnear, and him over there, Tim Weeks.
That's right, and this hour we've been in conversation with Carlton Brunton, a time-lapse photographer
Hello
from
again.
Salisbury, and we asked him, in your past life, you used to vlog about gaming. Why the change?
The majority of the time, for a long time...
What's this? They did research on me? What? That's insane!
I still have friends in the game.
That's
I did
crazy!
that and I ran a YouTube channel for that for 7-8 years.
Link in the description if you care!
It's something that I've enjoyed for a long time. It's something that I put my passion into, and it's something that I enjoy. So, and it has helped me be able to do what I do now because I was familiar with the editing process and the recording process.
So you actually used to make games then and put them on, post them online?
I haven't made like anything big, but I have studied game development, and that is, my background. I was looking to that as a future, but I decided to change to more video side. But I more made kind of reviews or talk about things in WoW or World of Warcraft specifically about what was happening in the game or what the company was talking about and things like that, and some other games around that as well.
Yes.
I played Mario Kart, Tetris, Pac-Man, and Sensible Soccer.
This guy's a gamer!
Any of those face?
He doesn't even know what they are.
I know what they are on a...
That's a long time ago.
Like, unfortunately,
Tetris?
I have to know what they are because as a game developer, you look back at...
Come on, hey, hang on. We don't
long time ago.
No. It was nearly yesterday these games were the top.
6,000 years ago!
No, I mean, they are definitely acquired taste. They are definitely good in their own right, but they're not to the same high speed.
Well, see, I like
High
games that you can play them for 20 minutes and you're done.
High speed.
Whereas you've even said now that you've got this business, your time lapse is so busy, you can't play World of Warcraft anymore.
Yeah.
It's too involved. Tetris, 20 minutes, bang,
Done.
166
Yeah,
lines, world record 10 weeks. Thank you.
Yeah, World of Warcraft could be on for days, couldn't you?
I haven't looked at the game in a long time.
Chunks of your life were disappearing because you were so engrossed in the game.
Let's not talk about that.
I wouldn't say chunks of my life because it was more of my social outlet for a long time. So it
Let's
wasn't
not talk about that.
necessarily a waste of time. It was
Lots
more,
of time.
that was my enjoyment at the time, and that's what I used to relax.
Way too much time.
But
Though.
definitely when I think about it now, the amount of time that I put into the game is worrying.
Way too much time.
To say that much. But in comparison
So
to
many
people who
hours.
I know,
So many hours.
I have known of.
This is where all of my friends from WoW are messaging me. Oh God.
Which community you're talking
God
to?
no.
About
God.
the gaming genre in general.
I'm looking at my other
Just think, if you
monitor.
put that time into Tetris, how many lines you'd have done?
You moved to Tetris, I'll kill you.
Do you miss it ever?
Partly, but I think that as I've grown up to be
You
more,
moved to Tetris,
I
I'll
want
kill
to be
you.
self-sufficient financially and
That's
just in
so
general,
funny.
and that's why I've said,
Made the
look, I'm not
Fucking
when I get time,
Tetris,
I'll do
boys.
it. And I think that it's important that
So
people
funny.
who are looking to be self-employed and are looking to, make their own businesses and make it work, that you don't work all the time. All my friends are saying, look, don't work all the time because that's not healthy either. But
That's what I mean, super unhealthy.
but making sure that you have a balance in the respect to what you do and what you enjoy.
Course, the
is,
balancing
I think,
game.
the best thing and the most important thing.
Because there is a wonderful community, the gaming community. My son has so many friends that he games online with. The community aspect of gaming. And I guess what you're doing now, vlogging, it's huge, isn't it? The contact with people and the friendships that you make.
And especially as for more what I do right now, I've made like local friends and just people that I've met through Instagram. And it's constantly something that I look to try and network, because if you're a photographer or if you know a photographer, the majority of the time you are doing that alone, especially as a time-lapse photographer. Then you set up the camera and you, in most cases, I'll leave it for 3 hours and then I'll just be standing there doing nothing. Because I've got to wait or monitor it and ramp the shutter depending on what I'm doing. But it can be quite lonely as a job.
Yeah.
So at any opportunity when you can do it with someone else, I would recommend to do that.
Sure.
Gotta find
So,
that community,
Tell me
boys.
about things that you haven't time-lapsed yet, that you might like
The
to,
moon!
you might like to go, or events that you
Haven't
might
done
like
it.
to do.
For me, I am always interested in trying new things, in general, in time-lapse or in videography in general. I think America is somewhere where I would definitely want to travel to see
USA,
what, to see what I can do.
USA.
There I'm going to be travelling to Paris next week.
We've already done it.
To do just for fun and see what I can do there. I'm going to go into Amsterdam in New Year as well. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to travel a lot more. I think it makes me a better time-lapse photographer to be pushed outside my comfort zone in a country.
We'll be
that I
vlogging.
don't know.
Cool.
Because when I'm in Salisbury, I know where the best spots are because I've tried nearly every spot because I time lapse so much. You learn it. You just learn it. Okay, well you can see the sun there at this time of year and so on.
So would you ever time-lapse events, like go to a wedding and do time-lapse photography of the wedding day, or go to the races and do time-lapse of a race meeting a day or a race? I guess it would be hard, wouldn't it?
I think that if I got like someone that came to me and said, "Can you? We're doing this horse race or this racing car race or etc." and we would like to see what you can do, I would be more than happy to do that just to see. But I think for a wedding specifically, I don't think time-lapse photography would work.
Don't do that.
In respect to, I don't think it would fit the story, and that's
Don't do that.
I think the most important thing for videography is to fit the story.
Story is
The
king.
only time where I would say that it could fit is
Always.
if you're doing a time lapse of the sun rising in the location of that wedding as an establishing shot for that wedding. But otherwise, I don't see a way.
No, you couldn't pin them down in one location.
Where it would work.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or where it would make sense.
Maybe on the cake. Just see who eats the most. See which hands keep going back on the cake.
That would be mine. That would be mine. Just finally, Carlton, how much fun are you having
Loads.
with this?
So much.
This time-lapse photography.
So much fun.
Vlogging and doing.
It's a lot of fun. I love what I do. It's stressful at times, especially when it's for a client and I'm not as aware or as confident with the subject that I'm recording. But it is one of the funnest things I've done. If it's something that someone was interested in, I would recommend, try it, see if you like it. That's what I tell everyone who asks me.
Carlton Brunton there, time-lapse
Mention my
photography
name!
specialist, talking about his
Mention
work.
my name!
Wow. If you'd like to look up what the Salisbury Man's work looks like, then you can find him on YouTube under the name Brunton Media. He's also on Twitter at Brunton Media.
I tell you.
I think that's it, because that's the majority of the interview from what I remember. So that is going to end up today's vlog, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little reaction sort of thing. I wanted to put it in just because I knew I was going to be on the radio. And if you enjoyed the interview, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought, if you have anything you want to see and such like that. And if you came from that broadcast and you're new, welcome, hello. This is who I am, and that was me talking about time lapses on BBC Watcher. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for a brand new video, and I'm gonna go finish the edit on this now. I'll see you later.